So blockchains slowly have evolved into what we call distributed ledgers. So what we talked about today is almost like a database, but it's still one store of data called a blockchain. The problem is that you have all these parties that want to look at it, all these participants. The valuer wants to look at it, the fund manager, the asset manager. But you've only got one source. Now, who do you trust to hold that store of data? And in most cases, no one trusts anyone else in that ecosystem. They all want their own data store. So this is where a distributed ledger comes in. So instead of having one blockchain, what happens is we create multiple or clones of each other. So the same way that you would clone your lease contract, the paper-based, and have multiple versions stored, you actually clone the blockchain. The difference is there's a protocol called consensus. And what it does is it makes sure that every one of these clones is identical. It uses Byzantine fault tolerance. It's getting really technical. But the Byzantine fault tolerance says, I want to make sure that at least 3 of those 4 are the same, and then we can trust it. It also gives us high availability, because if I lost one of, call them nodes, if I lost one of the nodes, the blockchain still runs. So not only are you not relying on a single database stored in one data center, that if it goes down, you have to go back to a backup, you've got this blockchain or distributed ledger that's highly available, that if you can lose one, but the others still persist. So the minute we create this scenario that we've got this trusted source, and there are multiple sources, but we know they're all the same, you then create an ecosystem around it. So the fund manager can be plumbed in directly and pull out data out of the blockchain. The asset manager, the property manager, they're all looking at the same data. And not only are they looking at it, when the property manager makes a change to the lease, the fund manager, the asset manager subscribe to that same data and see that change coming through. Or they could approve it if necessary, because they're all connected to the same source of data. And then where it gets really exciting is that once you've built an ecosystem like that, there's opportunities for others to start building and innovating on top of this data. So in this case, the valuer would build what we call a distributed application. It's an application that sits on a node that they trust, but can serve just their own internal purposes. So in this case, the valuer would build a valuation app sitting on top of this standardized data that sits within this blockchain and have access to changes giving us real-time valuations. An insurer may want to look at if a lease is terminating, there's an insurance event that occurs and may need to reassess the insurance situation. And an auditor. So why can't an auditor have a real-time access to stream data and stream events so that they can ensure that compliance is happening not after the fact, but actually during the process, and see every transaction that's happening through the system. So the key benefits you're getting out of a distributed ledger is the high availability, the inherent trust because of consensus, no need to reconcile anymore. Not worried about having all these different databases and them being out of sync. It is the one database that is just distributed for those that need to use it.